Namaskar. Bhim Palasi, welcome to everyone across the world. Joining me is Shekhar Ayerji as we look at some fast moving developments in India. What is going on? Why is Congress continuing to stall the parliament like this? What is the real objective behind this? And many other things. Let's welcome Shekhar Ayerji. Shekharji, Namaskar and welcome to P Guru's channel. How are you, sir?
Namaskar, Shreyaji. Namaskar. It has been quite, I would say, a violent political week because the kind of thing that happened on the, you know, on the doorsteps of the new parliament building. MPs being jostled, somebody getting pushed, two MPs getting hurt, and before that, the kind of the debate over 75 years of Indian Constitution, where things we saw it in both the houses the previous week and this week that went by, and it all appears that there is a lot of anger in the opposition towards the Modi government, particularly after getting the third mandate. And I have always maintained, sir, if the parliament does not function in the manner it should function for the simple reason, not because the government is not willing to listen to the opposition. For a simple reason, I would say that inability of the Congress, particularly, to accept the mandate right from 2014. They couldn't accept 2014, they couldn't accept 2019, they have not been able to accept 2024 because BJP's numbers got reduced, but NDA had managed to have more numbers, and NDA has more numbers than UPA had, and the BJP has got more numbers than the Congress had, both in 20 between 2004 and 14. But and also the setback they got in Maharashtra. Congress has been quite desperate to show that Maharashtra is not something that bothers them, and as if it never happened. Though before that you had Haryana. So we saw the 2-day debate actually was sought by Rahul Gandhi. As a leader of the opposition, he had written to the speaker seeking this debate. And the government agreed because Prime Minister thought it's a good occasion. After all those goody things about how great is our constitution, how it has kept us together, after that it began to, just descend to who has betrayed the constitution and who is violating the constitution, and so on and so forth. But then Congress did not realize that constitution and the Congress are a subject which Congress is not on a strong wicket, because under their it has been amended 70 more than 70 times, and all of it was not for some great purpose rather than to suit its political crisis it has faced over a period of time. So finally, when we heard Rahul Gandhi speak on behalf of the opposition, one expected that his address would be much more befitting the occasion, and which we discussed last time, what he said. Then when the Prime Minister answered the next day, it looked like Rahul had by seeking a debate he had managed to get self goal. Then the debate started in the upper house, that is Rajya Sabha, and it followed a similar pattern, with Kharge leading the charge, saying that you have completely betrayed the constitution, etc., etc. And finally, when Amit Shah came to give the reply, that is where I think it hurt the Congress more. Of course, Prime Minister pointed out, the number of occasions that Constitution has been used as a political tool by the Congress, right from Nehru's time to Indira's time and down to even Rajiv Gandhi's time. How Constitution has been amended whenever it suited Congress political expediency of that period. And then Amit Shah, when his reply, he gave a very, very, very aggressive reply. And to see Amit Shah being aggressive, we have seen it during when he piloted the Article 370 bill. And this was another occasion where he was very aggressive. And in his own style, he made those remarks. And at no stage there was any indication that he was humiliating Dr. Ambedkar, or was he trying to compare him or show him in a bad light? Nothing like that. And even when he spoke, the opposition did not get up and protest. If actually Amit Shah, because they have been protesting inside the house, if they had found Amit Shah saying something very offensive to the memory of Dr. Ambedkar, they should have got him in, but they did do, because Amit Shah actually listed the occasions right from the time when Dr. Ambedkar was defeated, the first election and subsequent election, and finally how he got isolated in his political life, and his later years, even his financial security was in question, and the whole history before also. Ambedkar's problems with Gandhiji and how Nehru took a personal disliking. And there have been reports, coinciding with this happenings in Parliament about those letters that Jawaharlal Nehru wrote to even Edwina Mountbatten about his glee at Ambedkar losing the elections. So these are things which are not very comfortable to Congress record. So that is where Amit Shah said that you keep saying it is uh, you keep chanting Ambedkar's name. Of course, in hindsight, it looks perhaps the way he put it in a very very colloquial political Hindi. He didn't realize that his speech could be again clipped and shown in a manner, which is what happened. Because on that day, Karge sat and everybody sat and heard, because it was part of that flow to showing how Congress has betrayed Ambedkar. But next day, the Congress social warriors realized that this could be separately taken and put, and that's how we saw what happened. And he said, "Bhai, you are chanting Ambedkar, Ambedkar. Instead of chanting Ambedkar, had you mentioned some God's names, you would have reached heaven. Because you didn't do anything to perpetuate his memory. You did not even grant him the honor of a Bharat Ratna. You did lip service. And everybody knows, in order to sideline Ambedkar, Jagjeevan Ram was encouraged. Because there is a history of problem between Congress and Ambedkar. But then Congress realized that its decline also had a lot to do with, sir, earlier when Congress was ruling the roost in northern India, its support base essentially, say for a state like Uttar Pradesh, consisted of Brahmins, the Muslims, and Dalits. And intermediate castes were not politically so significant because they did not seem to be a factor till the Mandal came. Mandal opened up a separate class, that is the other backward classes, which since then you have seen the rise of the OBC leaders, the rise of the OBC class as a politically most influential section in India. So Congress has realized that through the 90s, that the Dalits moved on to other parties. First it was Bahujan Samaj Party and to other smaller outfits. And then of course BJP internalized after, putting itself on the basis of the temple politics. The BJP also realized that it has to completely mandalize itself. So OBC leaders were pushed forward, Dalit leaders were pushed forward, and consequently, BJP became the voice of Dalits and OBCs others, because it got a number of them belonging to those communities elected to legislatures, state legislatures, and parliament. And that has been a hurting Congress, and we saw during the 2024 election, same game was played. What Amit Shah said about Muslim reservation, which is not permissible under the constitution because it doesn't allow quota on the basis of religion. And he said, look, we will never allow this. We will, if any Congress government does it, we will come and remove it. That was clipped and doctored and made it was that we will end all reservation. And that time they did not take it seriously. And as they say in Hindi, wo chal pada. I mean, that campaign went on, and by the time the results came, they realized the damage. A large sections of Dalit voters were quite upset with what was shown to them. That is why, in order to avoid that, this time, sir, when Amit Shah's statement was made into as if he has humiliated Ambedkar by saying Ambedkar is being slighted because Amit Shah said they could have done the jump of any god, taken any god's name and reached for heaven for 7 generations. That was actually a dig. It's a sarcastic remark. But Congress played it up the next day. They wanted apology. And an issue which had divided the opposition, Adani, the so-called Adani in excess with the Prime Minister, Adani BJP in excess, that issue had divided the opposition. Nobody was willing to march along with Rahul Gandhi on this issue. But when Ambedkar issue was played out the way it has been played out, you found all the opposition back. And then Prime Minister Modi realized that it's again an issue that could, definitely singe BJP. So it's the first time, sir, we saw Prime Minister himself coming to defense of one of his ministers, one of his very important ministers. Prime Minister never does that for any, for statements becoming controversy. But he decided to take it on from day one, just to prevent a repeat of what happened in the run up to the Lok Sabha elections. Now, in the new year, elections are due in Delhi, where Dalit votes do matter. Then, end of the year, you have got Bihar. These are two important, besides a few states. So, what I see is the whole thing, was made out. And so the question comes: why is Congress targeting Amit Shah? They feel that this. Maybe, if you ask me, Amit Shah should have been careful and not use comparisons which could be, taken out. Otherwise, you have to go on explaining the context. And this now, everybody from DMK in the south to Congress party in the states, the left, everybody is now out on the streets all over the country saying that Amit Shah has humiliated Dr. Ambedkar. And a big campaign is being launched. So I expect BJP to do a bigger counter campaign. And suddenly, Constitution has become such a document, and as if its Constitution matters today. No, it does matter in a larger sense, but in the sense of, but Prime Minister, sir, he pointed out in his speech, that is something we touched upon last time, but I want to remind our viewers also. Prime Minister pointed out that in our commitment to the Constitution is in the manner in which we are serving the needs of the poor, whether it is housing, PM Awas Yojana, Jal Jeevan Mission, the schemes for the farmers, for women, for empowerment. That's the kind of thing he made. That's the point that Amit Shah also made. But this, I would not fault Amit Shah for the way he put it, but definitely he gave a room, which his sentence could be separately clipped and used, and that is how it has been used. So which goes to show, sir, Ambedkar, sir, there was and Ambedkar's legacy was discovered by Congress very late. When he was alive, they never cared for him. And Bharat Ratna was given to Ambedkar only in 1990 by VPC government, which was backed by left parties and BJP. That's a point that was mentioned by the ruling party speakers in parliament. And there are a lot of details, the way we heard a number of occasions where, Ambedkar was slighted by the Congress, was ignored by the Congress, and also a threat was seen in Dr. Ambedkar by leaders like Nehru. And that was very clear. And even Jagjeevan Ram, when he left the Congress after Indira Gandhi lifted the emergency and went for elections and formed that Congress for Democracy, which finally aligned with Janata Party, and Jagjeevan Ram was one deputy PM. And one of the points he had mentioned was that the Dalits are not being allowed to occupy the top post by the Congress because Congress is committed to its only family, the one family. Now, these are the things which Rahul Gandhi feels should not be brought to the light. Because these are the things that will not show Congress in good light. But, sir, everybody is now, particularly the opposition campaign, is serious. But then what has happened and way it is being projected is not truthful. So that coming to the, the second penultimate day of this veto session, when that jostling happened, how Rahul Gandhi wore a blue T-shirt and instead of his trademark white T-shirt, because blue was a favorite color of Dr. Ambedkar. And even his was also not the depressed classes, that party, whichever he formed, political form, it had a blue color. So one can see how this whole idea was to make it more dramatic. And that's when it all happened, because the BJP, um, the BJP leaders also managed to also hold a demonstration against the Congress. And that's when the jostling happened, and the two MPs got pushed. And one MP blamed that Rahul Gandhi was forcibly pushing the BJP MPs to enter the parliament. And that's how this whole thing happened. Sir, Shirji? Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry about that. There was lights are out here. I just wanted to try and see if I could bring them back up. It will be coming back in just a moment. Very, very revealing about the desperation that Congress is showing now. And Scott Church is not even doesn't even describe this. So they are guilty as far as Ambedkar is concerned, and we're going to take a look at history as to how badly they treated Dr. Ambedkar. Shekharji, you are a student of history just as much as I am. 1947 comes. Somehow, Nehru is able to convince Gandhi that he should be the prime ministerial candidate, even though from various states, Congress units, it was Patel who won the mandate for becoming the president of the party in 1946, who was presumably the person who was going to become the first prime minister of independent India. And from there, after Patel passed away, for a brief period, it was Rajaji who was maintaining the peace between Patel and Nehru. And when Patel passed on, Rajaji became the home minister. And from that point forward, this man has been trying to ease out anybody he saw as a possible contender for the top job, whether it was Rajaji or Ambedkar. So this guy has been ruthless in cutting down whoever showed. I mean, sir, 63 or something like that. Morarji was the deputy prime minister, and he even eased out Morarji before he died. 63. Morarji was not a minister in his cabinet when he died. Morarji came back because he challenged Indira Gandhi after Lal Bahadur Shastri. That's when he came back. He had first, restoration of his first revival for him was that, first return back to cabinet was that, and then of course as prime minister in 77. My point here is this thing had been planned very, very carefully. Sir, many people don't know this. I'm sure you know this. In 1925, 1927, 1929, there used to be a Naam ke Waste government that the British used to form with Congress leaders. You want to take a guess who was always a prime minister? Motilal Nehru. So we should not even start thinking that Jawaharlal Nehru started this dynasty. This guy's father, rascal, he started it. So my point in saying all this is, how many of us remember this? I was reading something else, and then I suddenly saw that there used to be an Naam ke Waste government that was formed, and that Motilal Nehru was and the reason for that was he was probably one of the biggest donors to the party, because the thing had no power at all. It was just something where people would come and have some ornamental positions. And still, even there, Mr. Motilal Nehru was on the top of the heap. It's I don't know, when are we going to be getting, we going to be rid of this dung, sir? We are smelling as a country thanks to this party. Over to you, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, Ambedkar's problems with the Congress was accentuated right from during Gandhiji's time. We saw
Right.
the second roundtable conference that happened in 1931, where Britishers encouraged Dr. Ambedkar to press for a proportional representation for Dalits, just
Yes.
as they encouraged Muslims to seek similar separate electorate and separate quota of seats, also proportional representation. And Gandhiji was not opposed to proportional representation for Muslims. or to Sikhs or to Buddhists. He said so at this roundtable conference. But he did appreciate this Ambedkar pressing for a separate, proportional representation for the depressed classes, and that actually pained Ambedkar because he saw it as the first appeasement of Muslims by the Congress. That a Congress which is not willing to accommodate the concerns of the depressed classes, that is Dalits, was willing to go out of the way to help the Muslims. And, and consequently, even as Nehru took over as the first prime minister, the differences with Ambedkar went on. And even in that provincial government that was formed, the first government, Ambedkar was law minister. And they had differences over the Hindu Code bill actually. He resigned. Ambedkar resigned because Nehru was dilly-dallying in the court bill. And Nehru was, of course, finally the Hindu Marriages Act came later. The same ideas contained in the court bill was brought in basically to bring about a better dealings for women as well as certain changes in the Hindu practices. And Ambedkar felt that Nehru was willing to do everything for the Hindu code, I mean, to bring about changes, but he was not willing to go for a civil code that should have covered everybody. That was also one of the things. And the fact this appeasement of Muslims by the Congress during that period is also one of the reasons why Ambedkar, when he chose to, when he realized that the Dalits had to, even if they have to get out of the Hindu fold, they better join Buddhism. They adopt Buddhism rather than take to Islam. Because he has been very upfront on warning the dangers of this Islamist approach even then. Right from the Caliphate movement, which Gandhiji supported, and some of the remnants of which we are seeing in terms of Al Qaeda and ISIS and etc., trying to restore that period. So one can see that, therefore, the Congress, when it talks about Ambedkar today, and it expects people to have amnesia about what happened during all those periods. But sir, today's situation, because of Amit Shah being center focus, because if you listen to the whole thrust of Amit Shah's speech, nowhere there is a humiliation of Ambedkar or try even to do slight. All he said was, "भाई आप Ambedkar करते रहो तो किया क्या आपने? अरे इतने में तो आप भगवान का नाम लेते तो स्वर्ग पहुंच जाते." Sir, this is a general way we talk. Basically, it was a sarcastic remark of Congress, but that was picked up. Say, how can you compare Ambedkar to any god? That gods are bigger than Ambedkar, whereas for the Dalit and depressed community, I mean, just extrapolating things in a manner to suit the Congress idea of targeting BJP, and in the hope, sir, ultimately Congress revival, Congress return to power, sometime in the future would require Congress win back the support of all those sections that it has lost. And it has lost the general class, it has lost supports of bigger chunks of OBCs, SCs, STs. But the only chunk which is still, they have regained is the minorities. And but the Congress leadership, particularly the leadership of Rahul Gandhi now, even Priyanka Gandhi, they don't realize that if Congress has to return to centrist stage, it has to become a centrist party. Only, you want to, all your actions are guided. Even when you want to carry a tote bag to parliament, Priyanka wears Palestinian bag. And as the criticism came, next day it was for the Bangladesh Hindu minorities and Christian minorities. What if she had carried the Hindu bag on the first day? The impact would have been different. But Congress is not willing to go that line because it is more worried about its core supporters asking why you didn't carry Palestinian bag. Why did you carry a bag for Bangladeshi minorities? So she had to, otherwise, sir, bags were kept ready. Otherwise, how would she come with the next day with another bag, printed bag? Not that you can't do overnight printing of bags, but what I'm saying is there was definite planning in this. You carry the Palestinian bag, so that will definitely catch attention. Now, Priyanka's debut in parliament has been this, sir, wearing blue sari, carrying bags, and providing solid support to all the ideas Rahul Gandhi has for how to disrupt parliament. Now, this is what we have seen. But sir, for any Congress to be taken seriously, even by other opposition parties, it has to win elections. That brings us to Delhi election. Can Congress win the Delhi election? Because BR election, they are going to be as junior partners of a front led by RJD. RJD and other left party, they will form. That will be another group. So this is where we are seeing this. This parliament is also showing that today Congress leadership is in the hands of people. Though they might have stayed in parliament from 2004, but they don't carry the sagacity of the senior Congress leaders. And many of the senior Congress leaders who have been part of government for at least 2-3 decades are forced to go by what Rahul Gandhi feels. And the whole idea is disrupt parliament. And sir, another problem I am noticing, this constantly questioning the system. Now they have been questioning the chair. Though the parliamentary practice requires you respect the ruling of the chair. Because your problem is not with the chair or the chairperson. Your problem is with the treasury benches. But of late, we are seeing it is straight away they disobey the chair ruling, they disobey the normal rules and procedures through which they should raise issues. And this time they even talked of trying to remove Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, who is also the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. I mean, they are willing to go to this extent. Obviously, Modi government will not let that happen. And Jagdeep Dhankar also, made it very clear. He is not going to give in to this kind of political pressure and blackmail. So we are seeing a pattern now as we enter 2025. The question that is asked is the Modi government, how is it going to handle this opposition? Of course, in all this, we saw introduction of one nation, one election constitution amendment bill being introduced. And at the introduction stage, you don't need 2/3 majority. But for passage of the bill, you need 2/3 majority to be present and voting. At the moment, that number is not available in both the houses, which means Prime Minister Modi has looked at one nation, one poll as a long-term project. In the sense, it is going to take time. Nothing is going to happen immediately. So whether it will be time to hold such election in 2029, or will it even go up to 2034, that thing is not clear. But what is clear is, Prime Minister wants the BJP to work on this. That is why this huge JPC that has been formed with 40 members. And he wants a lot of debate. He wants the smaller parties in NDA as well as in the opposition alliance to take a call. And the arguments that are coming that this will affect federalism, it affect democracy. Sir, already you have had simultaneous elections going on in Odisha, Sikkim, Andhra Pradesh, earlier Telangana also. That he did not cover rights of these states. So one nation, but that is also putting scare. Because so far the arguments advanced by the Congress or other opposition parties, they do not answer how it affects the federalism, how it affects states. They are not willing to listen to the possible benefits of one elections happening to the extent possible. All over the country at one time, like way it used to be till 67, 68. They always say, no, this is... Because their fear is that since BJP has brought this proposal, it means there is something there which would benefit BJP and not us. Sir, parties that people choose to vote, whether there is one nation or multi-nation, those parties will be chosen for what they are willing to offer on the track record of what they have done, in power or in opposition. But this is going to be a long-term thing. It's not going to happen immediately. Before that, You will have the census, say, beginning from 2026. That will take a year, and then the next year you will have the delimitation. Then incorporation of this 33% quota, one third seats being reserved for women. Then you will have this, bringing in this one nation, one election. And in between, you have 2026, it's a major round of assembly elections starting from Assam, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Kerala. So a lot of things are on the pipeline, say starting from 2025 onwards. So that is another thing that has happened, sir. Sir.
So much, sir. Now let's take a look at what RSS said. Mohan Bhagwat ji just said that, again, this is the second or third time he's saying that don't look for a shivling under every mosque. This is sort of the, sir, Shekhar ji, unless you have a catharsis, how will the Hindu Samaj accept that, the injustice that has been done? How do you address that?
Sir, yes, exactly that. But there are certain things to note here, sir. If Mohan Bhagwat has said this, it is not without some deep thinking that has gone. It is not his personal view. I believe a lot of deliberation has happened within the Sangh. And perhaps the government too has been consulted, and even the Prime Minister Modi's views on this is also on mind. Because somewhere there is the feeling that you have one major project that is making Viksit Bharat by 2047, a $5 trillion economy. So the worry is the way there are many, many self-styled groups which have sprung all over the place and laying claims to places. And then the whole thing starts, and the tension that is growing, in Uttar Pradesh and other parts of North India, there is an apprehension that this could lead to a conflagration, which could completely affect India's growth story. Because after all, you have a huge section of population of minorities here, and there is a sense of fear in them. And that fear may have been fueled by their so-called religious heads. But the fear is somewhere along that we are being completely, smashed. That we will be nowhere after this because Waqf Act will take away our mosques. Because the campaign is also very strong. Just as the Dalit campaign, that BJP will finish Dalit quota. Similarly, this campaign is also very strong. And my feeling is, sir, the sense I get is somewhere along a point that was made by, to begin with, let's just, I will just quote what he exactly said while delivering his lecture on India being the Vishwa Guru in Pune the other day. He said, quote, that world needs to be shown that Indian can live in harmony. We have been living in harmony for a long time. If we want to, show to the world that how we can live harmoniously, then we need to create a model. After Ram Mandir, some people think that they can become leaders of Hindus by raking up similar issues, and this is not acceptable. Ram temple was a sort of a asta for Hindus because it was a matter of faith for all. But every day a new matter is being raked up and new issues coming up. How can this be allowed? And can this continue? Because India needs to show that it's a nation of harmony. Now, basically the point that what the sense I get is, sir, both within the Sangh and the government, that if an anti-Muslim campaign is the way it is now already taking shape because of utterances of several people, apart from what is happening in courts, which the Supreme Court has now stayed, and the whole issue of Places of Worship Act. Now, the fear is that this will damage the whole concept of Hindutva. the larger project of Hindutva. There is a fear, there is an apprehension. And the second thing is that this may undo everything. It will undo growth story, it will undo anything, and the possibility that India should emerge as a big leader cannot happen with there is so much of domestic conflicts. With one huge section of population totally unhappy. Sir, after all, in Germany we are seeing what is happening. I'm not saying that is going to happen in India, but what I'm saying is, you saw where somebody drove a car through a crowd of Christmas revelers, not far from Berlin, and so many got killed. Not that that will happen, but somewhere along the anger is that there is a pressure building up, and that needs to be tackled. And I have a feeling that Mohan Bhagwat would not have said this without the Prime Minister wanting everybody to somehow see that these things don't go out of control and harm India, Hindutva, and the BJP in the longer run. Because the larger project of Hindutva is that we have to show that we grow in harmony and everybody respects the rule of law. And that cannot exclude Hindus. Because, sir, one thing is clear. I will come to the point you raised in the beginning. But how do we reconcile this? Because now a lot of people are angry with Bhagwat. Some people are asking why is he making such. He has also turned secular. People are asking. Some of the core Hindutva supporters feel that why is he saying this? But this is not new. When Ayodhya verdicts were delivered, he said, let us not celebrate it. It's a matter of faith. It has been restored to us. In a way saying, let us not celebrate it in a manner which will make the Muslim community small. Because this is not about making somebody small or somebody big. That's one. Number two, where during the Gyanvapi thing started, he said, let's not look for shivling under every mosque. And now we have come to this stage where, and in between you have seen he is trying to reach out to Muslim leaders in Deoband. There has been a lot of samvad between the community leaders have met. And the way in which some of the Muslim intellectuals and others have welcomed Bhagwat's statement, saying that we need to cap this. We need to see that things don't go out of control. So there is a reason behind this. But, sir, the whole problem is RSS does not control all those groups which are taken up the Hindu cause. Because it is assumed that it is the RSS behind all this. No, it is never so. So there are certain issues involved in this, but then coming to the point you raised, how do we reconcile this? So that reconciliation, I think the first step to happen is let the Muslim leadership, the so-called Muslim intellectual, accept that temples were damaged and destroyed. But what we are seeing is some historians, the so-called left-leaning historians, they have been in a state of denial that these things never happened. Or if these have happened, then Hindus have also destroyed the Buddhist temple, Jain temples. So therefore, Hindus should not talk about the temples that were destroyed during the Mughal rule. Sir, this is not the way for reconciliation. Even when the Ayodhya issue came up, sir, when there were several attempts for a breakthrough through dialogue, the same point was made. Had the Muslim side was encouraged to come forward and say, look, this has happened. We all feel sorry about it. If it's a matter of faith for you, you can take it. Had that happened and efforts were made in that direction. But then some of these left leaders and left-leaning politicians, they encouraged the Muslim leadership and the Personal Law Board and even the Babri Masjid Action Committee to take a more strident stand and to be in a state of denial. Because Mohan Bhagwat says, look, whatever has happened in the past, none of the Muslims of today or Hindus of today are responsible for what happened years ago. But reconciliation to begin, we must accept that these things happen. And if that is started and there is a general apology, perhaps we could make forward, okay, let's put these things back. But that is not happening. Every time, this thing happens, there is a total denial that no temples were broken, something happens, all imagination. There is no historical proof. You recently heard the former Supreme Court Judge Rohington Nariman give a lecture where he was talking of only the law like Places of Worship Act 1991, that it is part of the basic structure of the constitution. That was he was arguing, and that there is no proof that a Ram temple actually existed, but Supreme Court gave it to Hindus. Sir, if a stand like this is taken, how is reconciliation possible? So if you have to find a genuine way to put an end to this, and if we have to move forward as a society, that somewhere there has to be an acknowledgement. Yes, just as we acknowledge that atrocities were perpetrated on weaker sections, on Dalits, on women, over the ages, over the years, that's the only way we have now moved forward to see the empowerment of women and empowerment of Dalits. Similarly, there has to be an enlightened leadership on the Muslim side, which must move out from a state of denials and accept, yes, these have happened and we are sorry about it. Let's move forward. That will contribute a big way. So I would say that there are reasons for Mohan Bhagwat making such a statement, because the worry is that it should not be such that our growth as a nation, our emergence as a nation of reckoning of the future, is not jeopardized by these struggles all over the country, because a communal conflagration will be very difficult to handle and there will be a lot of victims. That's the danger line, sir.
Thank you so much, Shekharji. And today, viewers, we are unable to take questions. We are very sorry about that. We'll be back again with Shekharji on Wednesday. Thank you so much, sir. We'll see you again very, very soon. Namaskar.
Namaskar, sir. Thank you.